Mesquite Weekly is Geno Withelder. Geno has been a long time city council member. He was also mayor pro tem for a period of time. Geno Withelder actually does not need an introduction to the city of Mesquite, or the folks in the city of Mesquite. They all know him very well, both from his city council appearances and his activities within the business community. And please welcome Geno, and let's hear more from him.
Well, good morning and thank you. Again, my name is Geno Withelder, and I am an active city councilman currently. I've been on the bench since July of 2009, so 1st of July I'll be starting my 10th year, and it's been interesting to say the least. I've been very active in the community. I'm almost an 18-year resident of Mesquite, came from Northern California. Been very active in the community, served on many boards, and I'm very, very proud of some of my civic accomplishments outside of City Hall versus City Hall only. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell there.
That Geno's being humble. He also has, a lifelong of activity within the armed services. He was a member of the Navy. He was also active in as a licensed broker Association of Nevada. He had a high-profile French restaurant he was active in. He's developed and honed his skills over a lifetime, and now he's providing services to the city of Mesquite. He's also the city representative to the National League of Cities, and these are credentials, and based on his experience here, okay, these are things that Geno would love to talk about and is known for. I think he's being humble when he says, and he talked that way to the Mesquite local news, he says, when they ask him about the accomplishments over the last years, I think he's just being humble. He simply stated that he doesn't have any. I think I think he was joking. Geno, please elaborate on that.
Well, not to toot my own horn, but I've been very active in the community, as I mentioned. I was a founding father of Golf for Kids. I was on the Salvation Army Advisory Board for about 10 years. I was on the Virgin Valley Artists Association Board. Again, I was one of the founders of Golf for Kids. Started Little League here, believe it or not, in Mesquite 5 years ago. I was one of the founders of Mesquite Virgin Valley Little League. So I've been very active in the community other than being on the city council, as I've been acting mayor pro tem for about 5 years. So I've paid my dues, I think.
It was the pleasure to attend the city council meeting last Tuesday, and there are two things that were interesting. The discussions revolved around the major budget cuts to the Mesquite area schools, the Virgin Valley area, as well as the Moapa Valley area schools. And some 40% of the budgets for those schools has been slashed, it's my understanding. The city, and I think Mr. Withelder has something to share as to his involvement in making sure that this doesn't go on, or that this situation is somehow rectified. Can you please elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, we went out of our way to provide some money for the schools. We have about $60,000 each calendar year that is going to be given to the schools in the area. This is basically derived from the marijuana taxes that were gathered here in the city. So the Clark County School District is really hard pressed for funds. They've got a budget deficit of about $68 million. So it's very difficult for the school district to keep promoting education in the valley when you have those sort of downfalls. So we, as a council, decided we would give some of our benefits back to the schools, although it is not our primary job to support the schools. It's the school board and the Clark County School District, which is the 5th largest in the nation, by the way, and they are facing a $68 million budget deficit. So every penny counts there.
May I ask another question along those lines? We continuously want to draw more businesses, and we are losing businesses, and we're losing healthcare professionals. And one of the stated reasons for them leaving is that their children are not able to get a good education within the school system in the Mesquite area. And as we continue to slash these budgets, how will we grow? How will we attract businesses? How will we protect professionals that will take care of our healthcare industries? I know City Attorney Sweeten is involved in a lawsuit against both the school district and I believe the state of Nevada. Okay. And would you please, maybe elaborate on some of the involvement that you have in that area, Geno?
Well, Mr. Sweeten, who is our city attorney, and myself, we've had some ongoing conversations with the administrator of the hospital, and we are quietly having some other meetings with people I can't identify at this time to see exactly what our involvement as a city can be to provide more adequate health care within the city. We are a city of senior citizens, and therefore every one of us we're getting a little long in the tooth. And when you get that way, of course, you're going to need health care. So that is very, very, very important to me. And as I mentioned, we have ongoing conversations with the city and a group of medical providers right at the moment as we speak.
Okay, that's great. That's excellent. What I'm going to do now is we're going to look at the Mesquite local. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I kind of mentioned it in the introductory, but you're being humble, but I know you didn't mean that when you said you didn't have any major accomplishments. So, but anyway, let's talk about some of these issues. The work on first, you mentioned healthcare, okay, and you also bringing in natural gas. So the question I have is in relation to natural gas. Let me ask the question. The introduction to a natural gas system to the city of Mesquite, although no benefits or very little benefits to the residential owners, not current, maybe future. But there will be definitely industries that would be interested in using natural gas, and somewhat of a concern has been voiced as to what kind of industries would we be attracting to the city of Mesquite. Can you assure us that the natural gas will not provide us or will not inundate the city of Mesquite with industrial complexes that we're not well suited for because we have lack of water resources, and we also have an aging community that is probably not that much interested in having an industrial plant staring or looking at from their backyard. Can you please advise us a little bit more on the impact of a natural gas pipeline would have on the businesses and the community as a whole?
Well, any existing natural gas that would come to the city as we currently speak would be directly involved in the industrial park. So residential areas, current standing residential areas, would not be able to ever acquire natural gas. It would take a tremendous amount of money to dig up lines and provide lines to each homeowner. That's just not going to happen. So the natural gas will be directed immediately to the industrial park, and that, of course, will attract new and better businesses. And it won't be in a neighborhood where it's going to be in your face business and chimneys and junk every day. It will be directed to the industrial park.
In keeping with the standards that the city has already employed, would we restrict anyone from coming in to provide an industry that may not be viewed or may not be deemed favorable to Mesquite?
I don't think the city would permit or issue a license to something that would not fit within our community. We will have the last say as to who we issue business licenses to, and if it's going to be detrimental to the community, that's not ever going to happen, I can assure you.
Are we already looking at certain guidelines that says, well, we don't want this kind of business, or we do want these businesses but not those, or is that still in the planning stages?
Yes, it's still in the planning stages, and coincidentally, I was in Washington, D.C. in the middle of March, and I came across a man who works for the Department of the Interior, and we had kind of a lengthy conversation about natural gas, our application, and the ongoing talks with the Public Utilities Commission about acquiring a license. Well, part of the natural gas processes would be to come through Lincoln County and into BLM land. And BLM originally told us that we would probably be looking at about a 2-year period before they would issue a license to us for the natural gas. And this man I spoke of he works directly for the Department of the Interior, and he assured me that if we get a clearance from the Public Utility Commission, it would not take 2 years to get approval from BLM. So I think we're really on the right track. Attorney Sweeten and myself and Aaron Baker, the city acting as city manager's assistant, we've had some ongoing talks with those people about the natural gas situation as well, and I think it's going very favorably in our favor.
Okay. Do you see the city of Mesquite management or government taking the right direction or not? And how would you like to change the direction that the city is taking? And how, when, and what would you do to do that? Now, this is a tall order, and I don't expect everyone to answer it perfectly. There is no perfect answer. But if you're willing to give it a shot, that's a good way to summarize.
Well, I think we are living within our budgets. We've been right at the budget break-even point the last several years. And as you know, we are the fastest growing city in the state of Nevada. We are now over 20,000 people, which we were at probably 2008 when the bottom fell out of everything. Mm-hmm. So we are heading in the right directions. We've got redevelopment money sitting there for people who want to invest in redevelopment type businesses. So I think there's about $6 million in that account right now that could be used. We are not, like I said, we are not going to issue licenses to somebody that's going to be detrimental to the city whatsoever. So we've got a very good finance department, we've got a great mayor, we've got a good city manager, and I think we've got a very cohesive council currently, and I don't think anything is going to get in our way with any of these folks because of what we've accomplished in the last 5 years.